everyone, my name is Rhiannon from Blue Dog Board Games, and today I'm going to do a solo playthrough of a card game that I've had in my collection for quite a while now, and I've only recently sort of got it back out and finished the campaign mode that's in it, and I've really enjoyed it, so I thought let's do a little playthrough of this one. And this one is One Deck Dungeon. So One Deck Dungeon is a 1 to 2 player game. I have not really played it 2-player. I believe this one is sort of thought to be a better game solo, and this is a game where you are basically taking control of a hero, leveling up, gaining experience, gaining extra skills to go through 3 levels of a dungeon before you meet the boss, to actually tackle the monsters that you find or the traps that you find along the way. You are rolling die and manipulating those dice in certain ways using skills and various ways to change values or combine them into different colored die to check off boxes on these monsters to try and minimize the number of damage you're taking as well as minimize the time you're taking. Ultimately, if you defeat the boss at the very end of the dungeon, you are descending through 3 different floors and you defeat the boss, you have won the game. There are 5 different bosses in the base game box, and we're just going to start with the very first one today. So when you first buy a game, your initial reaction is to sort of read all the rules and try and play like the most basic game as you can possible. So you're not really looking to integrate any extra bits. If there's a campaign mode, you just want to concentrate on a standalone game first. But honestly, that is the hardest way to play. The campaign is designed to give you a difficulty setting and to also enhance your skill set as you progress through the game. This is quite a difficult game anyway, so if you are buying this game and you're going to just go into it, I would absolutely recommend you just dive straight into the campaign from the start. Otherwise you are going to have quite a difficult time. There's not too much extra rules or upkeep for the campaign, so it's not too much extra work there. So we are all set up, ready to go. So I'm going to just talk you through exactly how to set up the campaign, just a couple of extra tweaks, and we're going to get started with our playthrough. So as you can see, I am going to be playing the Archer today. There's lots of different characters that you can take control of, and they all have different stats. We all start off with the same health, but we have a combat stat, an agility stat, and a mage stat, and they all sort of differ a little bit. We also have a campaign booklet, so we got a pad of paper so we can tick off how the campaign is progressing, and I'll pop a screenshot of this one so you can see this in more detail. But essentially this is why the campaign is a lot easier than the base game, because you are gaining all of these skills as you progress through the dungeons. You're going to be ticking off various boxes here and strengthening yourself, gaining yourself extra abilities, and if you don't play the campaign you're not gaining any of that. So we actually don't have any basic skills at the moment because we are at the very basic level of the campaign. We haven't done anything yet, but ultimately as you progress it gets easier and easier. So first thing you have to do in the campaign, you're supposed to name your hero and write down whoever you're controlling, but I won't do that right now. But we do need to choose a challenge tier. So I think I'm just gonna play on the standard difficulty today. As I said, it can be quite a challenging game. It is very die roll dependent, but there are things you can do to sort of offset that and really beef up your skills that you're deficient in. So standard is, before the game begins, draw 1 card and claim it as experience. We also would gain 1 extra check mark if we reach the boss. Now the check marks are referring to this here. So as I said, you're ticking off various abilities and bonuses. So you just gain extra check marks if we reach the boss on this difficulty level. But we're going to draw 1 card and claim it as experience to start. So this is our deck over here. It might be slightly off screen. And I'm sorry if there's any glare. There's quite a lot of cards in this game. I wasn't going to go and undo them all. So anyway, this is our experience pile. So we can go up to level 4 in this game, and the more you level up, that increases your number of items you can hold, increases the number of skills you can hold. It also allows you to perhaps have an extra wild die. It may also increase the number of potions you have as well. So we're going to just pop this underneath. These have an experience level at the top. So this one has only got 2 experience. You may not be able to see it properly. There's a couple of little symbols. They look like this little lantern. And we need 6 experience to level up to level 2. But we've only got 2 at the moment. So we're just going to keep that like that. The only other thing that we need to do is we get 1 potion during setup, and these little cubes are potions, so I'm going to pop that one by the side here. And now we can start. So during your turn, you're basically doing one or two things. You're either exploring or entering a room that you've already found the door of. So we've got our little turn reference down here, and we're actually tackling the dragon in the dragon's cave today. And we have this to like move down, because this is going to give us extra boxes that we need to cover up with our die and make it more and more hard the further in the dungeon we go. So we're first of all just going to spend 2 time. It says at the start of each turn you spend 2 time, and then either you can explore or enter a room. So time is always ticking. So to spend time, we're going to just discard cards into the discard pile. We're then going to explore, because we haven't seen anything yet. So to explore, you literally just reveal 4 cards unless it says otherwise. Now, it does say on here, you always have to resolve the first line of your dungeon. It does say spend an extra 5 time before your first turn on each floor. So before I even did that, I should have spent 5 extra time. So let's spend that now. 3, 4, 5. So that's a lot of time we've already churned through. And then that is essentially the end of our first turn. We cannot now enter a room. That is our next turn. So let's go ahead and do our next turn. So we're going to spend another 2 time. And we can now choose a door to enter into. So it doesn't really matter which one I pick, because I don't know what's behind any of them. So we're going to just go ahead and reveal this one. And there's 2 different types of encounters. You can have a battle. So then there's monsters in here, or you can have like a trap. And I've found the Pit of Spikes, which is a trap. And that's important because it determines what die you're going to roll, and also what skills you can use in that encounter. So if we look down here on my archer, I've actually got a special skill, which is kiting. And this is like a permanent thing, but it's restricted to battles only. I've got 2 swords crossed instead of like the bear trap symbol. So I can't use that in this encounter. It would allow me to otherwise prevent a loss of health by spending a time instead. And I can also prevent a loss of health in each boss round, but I can't do that here. I've also got this heroic feat, which I'm able to activate every single round as well if I want to, which allows me to spend time to roll 2 wild die, or spend 4 time to roll 3 wild die, and choosing one of those to discard. So that's quite cool, and I can do that in either battles or trap encounters, but I'm not able to do it in the boss battle. So let's have a look what we've got over here. So we've got an average looking trap. When you encounter traps like this, you have 1 or 2 options. You can either go for the first one, and it will show you, there's 3 different coloured die in this game, and the specific traps are usually associated with a particular coloured die according to your option you take. So this top one is climb around. I would have to roll my combat die, and I've only got 2 die to roll there, and I would have to get a combined value of 8 on my die rolls to cover that box up and to prevent me from suffering those consequences. In addition, I'd have to also spend some time, or I can choose to roll my agility die. I've got 3 agility die, but those 3 die would need to add up to a total of 14 or more. So that's not a great start, actually. Don't forget over here as well, we also have extra boxes we need to be mindful of. And so they're split into 2 sides. This is the all battles, and this is all traps. And on floor 1, we have a 2 to cover up. When you see a box with shields on, you have to put your die on those boxes before you consider anything else. So that you could be suffering quite a lot of consequences if you don't manage to cover even the shield boxes. So let's have a think. I would have to roll 2 4s, or like a 3 and a 6, 3 and a 5 to get that top box. But I'd also have to I'm only rolling 2 die and I would need an extra die here. So I think I'm going to go with the... You also don't have to actually face the encounter. You can ignore it and go to your next turn. But it's a careful balance in this game. You either want to like beef yourself up because you will probably find ways of healing. You can heal with your potions. You know what? I think I might actually use my heroic feat already. I'm a little bit worried about suffering so much damage right now, especially as it's not a battle. This is a trap, and I'm not very good at traps. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to spend 2 time to roll 2 black die, and these are wild. And I have to choose one to discard. So I'm going to discard the lower one. So I've got a black 5 I can use. And then I think I'm actually going to choose the top one. I want to climb around. So that's going to cost me 3 time. Wow, we've spent so much time. We haven't even gained anything yet. And then I'm going to roll my combat die. So I've got 2 yellow die that I can roll. And let's see. Okay, that's good. So, perfect. Remember, we have a shield box over here we need to cover up. So this actually doesn't have a colour associated with it either. So you are colour locked, so I can only put yellow dye on yellow boxes unless they're grey like this one. So I can put any colour dye on here, and it has to be of at least value 2. I've got a 4. And then I've got 2 5s to stick on here to cover that one up. So that's absolutely great. I have succeeded. Basically, you always succeed in encounter unless you die. It's just about the extent of the consequences you're going to suffer. So you're either going to be suffering damage or you're going to be spending time during that encounter. So no matter what, whether you suffer consequences or whether you completely covered it like I have here, you are going to be gaining that card as experience or the skill or the bonus to your rolls. So let's clear that off. We have now gained this card, and I can choose to do 3 things with it. I can either take it as experience and pop it next to this one here, and that's going to give me 3 extra experience, so I'd have 5 out of 6. Or I can tuck it under this card to gain this Armor Crush skill, which allows me to spend a combat die to gain a wild 6, and you can only use it to cover up a box with a shield on it. Or I can tuck it this way to use it as an item, and that allows me to increase my mana die, so I would be rolling 3 instead of 2. I quite like all of those options, if I'm totally honest. I think in all honesty, we're actually going to get that skill. So let's stick that under there. And that's our first skill. And we're limited to 2 skills. This is our basic one, so that doesn't count as a starting skill, and so I've only got 1 at the moment that's counted. So now we're on our next turn, so now we can spend some more time, and let's look at this second door. Oh no, we're on another trap, so spiked log, so I can choose to clobber the logs or dodge the logs. Again, there's either agility or combat. I'm not sure I want to spend the time again, but 14 is just a lot. That's a lot of health that we're going to lose as well. 3 health is a lot. I've only got 5 health. We're going to do it. I don't want to lose that much health right now. That's a lot of health. We're going to be halfway dead before we even start the game. So I'm going to spend 2 time to roll 2 black die again. And I've got 2 black 3s, so we're just going to take a 3. My sleeves are getting in the way. So, now we can roll. I'm going to go for the top option. So that's 2 time. And we have 2 yellow die. And we miss it. So, don't forget we need to put the shield over there, and I've only rolled a 7. I'm not able to use any skills because these are locked to combat encounters, so unfortunately we have completely failed that, and that was a waste of our extra time for our heroic feat. So we have to suffer these consequences, we get 3 damage, which is just not great. And we have to also spend a time. But we still gain the card. So do I want the 3 experience, the extra agility die, or do I want to have this option, spend a 4 mana die to gain a 4 combat and 4 agility, then increase one of your other die by 1. That's quite nice. That's quite nice indeed. I think we actually might go for that. Let's go for that. I've shuffled all of this up a little bit because I didn't think that we were able to see the skills very well. There we go. All right. So that did not go very well. Now we do have a potion, so we can heal 3 damage from one hero at the start of a turn or 2 damage at any other time. So I'm going to do that now, I think. I'm going to spend my potion to heal 3 damage whilst I start my turn, because that's not a good start. Now, I don't want any more traps. Oh my gosh, there's another trap. Okay. We're going to go for... It's only 2 experience that it's going to give us as well. Oh, we're losing a lot of time here. It's okay. We're just going to have to go for it, I think. I'm going to spend 2 to activate my heroic feat, to roll these 2 black die. I'm going to discard this black 2 and keep this black 3. We're going to go for this dismantle it option. So again, I'm rolling my combat die. I've only got 2 of them. Good. So I can use this black 3 on this shield over there, and I don't even need my second die. I can pop that one there straight away. And we have covered all the boxes. I already have 2 skills, so I can't technically take any more. So I either keep this as experience or I gain an extra mana die. I think at this point, because I've already used my potion, I think I want to increase my experience a little bit more. Perhaps. But then I really do need some extra die. Okay, so next turn. So let's spend some time and explore. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we have got a pretty nasty thing. We got a phantom, and he's quite powerful. He's got a special ability, the ethereal ability, so we would have to immediately discard all 1s and 3s that we roll. He's also got 2 shield boxes for combat and agility, and he's very nice because if we manage to get him as an item, he's going to increase our health as well as our combat stat. So that's quite nice. But he is quite powerful. So I think, in all honesty, I might activate my heroic feat. I'm going to spend 4 time. This is probably really silly, but I don't think that I want to suffer loads of damage if I can help it. So what's this? 4 time to roll 3 black die. Okay, and get rid of that one. All right, so let's encounter him. So we have 2 yellow, 3 pink, and 2 blue. Oh gosh. All right, so we have to immediately discard all 1s and 3s rolled. So I've rolled 2 3s. That's annoying. So what shield values do we have? We have a 4, which we don't have any of them actually. We need a yellow 4, which we don't have, and a pink 4, which we don't have. We have a 5 and a 6. So let's just think about what we want to do in the first instance. I think I'm going to activate some skills. So I'm going to do this one. This one needs me to pay a combat die. So let's use this because this is a 2. I can't do anything with that. Which allows me to gain a black 6 and I can only use it to cover a box with a shield. So let's stick that over there, and I will think about which box I want to use that on momentarily. Unfortunately, I think there's little else I can do because this one would require me to have a blue 4, and I only have a blue 2, so that's no good. So let's look at what else we can cover up. So we need to cover up these. I've only got 4 of them. Wowee. Okay, we need to cover up these shields. So let's do that with the smallest values that we can. And then we've got 2 6s. I think honestly, the health is going to be worse for me. So let's do something like that. You are able to combine die to get black die in the game. So if I wanted to right now, I could trade these 2 die, these 2 2s, in for a black. But you take the value of the lowest die. So if it was a 6 and a 1, you were trading in for a black, you would only get a black 1. So that's not going to help me anymore. So I just need to suffer those consequences, unfortunately. And I can't even use this kiting skill because this is if you would lose only 1 health. I'm going to be losing 3. So we're just going to have to roll with it, I think. So let's take that 3 damage. And we spend 2 time battling this guy. That wasn't overly successful, but we'll see. So we can now take him as experience, which would be really great, but I'm really eyeing up his ability to enhance that health as well as give us an extra combat die. So I'm going to take him as an item, so we slot him right here, and that just shows us how we're expanding our abilities. And we really need a potion. We're really looking a bit poorly. Okay, so now we are spending some more time and exploring. We don't have any other option. So we have now revealed the stairs. So the stairs say that when visible, place a damage token here for each time spent. Each time there are 3 tokens here. You can place 1 on a hero and remove the other 2. At the end of any turn, the heroes may descend. If this card is revealed while spending time to start a turn, the heroes may descend immediately. So I can descend immediately now. Or I can continue. So I think it's worth me seeing if I'm able to battle one more thing before we descend. So what would happen is I would start my new turn and spend time. So I could spend time like that and then reveal something and hope that it's something nice. It's not. So I would have to, it says before the encounter you would spend 3 time. So we're not going to go and do that. We're going to flee and leave. I think that's what we can do. Encounter. Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave. So we are fleeing and we are going to descend. When you descend, you shuffle all the cards that you haven't removed from the game. Technically, once these are used for like skills and that, you remove them from the game. So we're just going to shuffle this deck here. We are descending, so we shuffle this down to reveal extra boxes that we need to cover in order to succeed at encounters. And then we're on level 2, and once we are at the end of level 2, we do it again to be going down level 3 as well. Oh, this isn't going very well. I'll just shuffle it through. Okay, so we're on level 2, and then it does say spend an extra 5 time before your first turn on each floor. So let's just go ahead and spend the 7 time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because then that encapsulates the 2 at the beginning of our turn. We can go ahead and explore. And then next turn, 2 time. And let's have a nosy in the first room. Okay, got flame statues. Ooh, all right. We really, really need to get a potion. So let's think about this. We could roll the blue die. We would need 4 of them though. You know what? We're going to flee. We're going to get so much damage on this. Or shall I flee? I'm just looking because the battles are going to give us health. They're going to hurt our health over there. But this, we've only got 1 health. But then what we're going to need to roll, we've got 3 pink die. I could get 4. That's just not enough. We can't get 14. So we're going to end up suffering 3 damage, which is going to kill us. Okay, we're going to disenchant then. We're going to disenchant. So we're going to go ahead and spend 4 time. Don't take this as a strategy guide, okay? Please. To use our heroic feat, we're going to discard that. So we've got a black 6 and a black 3. We're then going to disenchant. 1, 2, 3. We're going to roll our 2 blue die. Okay, we're going to use this blue 3 over here to cover up that shield. We've got a that's really annoying. We're going to have to take a damage. That's fine though, because we've got 6, 7, 8, 9 to cover up there. And unfortunately, I can't use that 6. I can't move that 6 over here because then I won't block that. So we do take 1 damage from that flame aura. And because of my kiting ability, I cannot prevent that because that's locked to combat only. So I do take another damage, which is insane. That's really bad. But what I'm going to do now then is take this as experience. So I've got 3 experience here. I've already got 4. So I need to discard, I need 6 to level up. So I'm going to have to get rid of all of those. You can't sort of carry over experience, which is really annoying. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remove those from the game. And we are now level 2. And this is what I wanted. I wanted the extra potion so I can heal in a minute. And also we get 1 encounter bonus die. So we are able to roll a black die every single round now, which is going to be very useful for us. All right, so beginning of the turn, I'm going to spend this potion to heal. And we're going to spend more time. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, we've got a lower level skeleton, but whether or not we'll be very good at tackling him, we'll see. I think now we're just going to have to go for it. He's a bit mage heavy. I'm a little bit worried about that factor because he's got 2 shield boxes there that require blue dye. We've also got a blue dye one over there, but we're going to have to just go for it, I think. Okay, so we have 3 combat, 3 agility, 2 blue, and a black for our encounter bonus. I'm a little worried because we've got these 2 shield boxes that we really need to cover. We can only cover 1. Okay, so I got this one. Blue 2 for over there. I need a blue 4. But I don't have a blue 4. Alright, let's do this then. This 1 is useless, so let's gain a black 6, which I can use to cover a box with a shield. So they're now covered. Let's now worry about everything else. So I've got a 6 that I could use there. I've got a 6 that I could use there. I think I'd rather the time spent rather than the... I don't know. Let's think about that. Let's keep you back. I think maybe I'll try and do this, because if I use this and this, oh, I don't need to use that. I could just use this to use that as a mana die. Would that be useful? Let's think about it. If I spend that, I would get a yellow and a pink, and I could increase one of my die by 1. So this pink one's useless. I could use that very nicely. That's useless. That's useless. That is useless. So I could block that one there. If I increase that value, I could block that one there. I could then spend both of you to block that there. But then I've got all of this health that I'm not blocking. In all honesty, I think I'd rather block this 5 rather than that 6 over there, in which case I need a blue. Okay, let's do that. So I'm actually going to spend both of these to get a black 6. And finishing off this skill, I'm going to increase the value of a die. So this is a 5, I think. This is going to come over here to block that. This is going to block that. And then I've got, let's get rid of you. I don't need you. The only other things that I can do then are combine you two to a black 3. And what have we got? A health or a time. That's going to spend a time instead, so it makes no difference actually. So let's just block that one over here. And that's all I've got. That's all I've got. It does say, what's his special ability? If any boxes are empty, spend 2 time. So unfortunately, I do have to spend that 2 time as a punishment. And then I also have to spend 3 time for the consequences of all the uncovered boxes. So, yeah, we're all right health-wise, but that wasn't magnificent. So I can either have 2 experience, an agility die, or I can gain a potion, which would allow me to gain an actual potion, but also gain me an invisibility ability by spending a potion, if I have them, which allows me to spend 2 time before an encounter and skip to the claim loot phase. Ooh, that could be really nice. That could be really cool. Shall I do that? How many skills can I have? Sorry, is it skill? Yeah, skills. Shall I do that? I've never actually taken many of the potions before. That's something that I've always sort of avoided. I always usually take the items. That seems really cool. Let's try it, shall we? So when you gain that, you actually do gain an extra potion. So let's carry on and see how that pans out for us. Okay, so he's good. So we've got Plague Rat, so Swarm. So X equals 4 per open door, including this one. So this shield value is only a 4. So that's not too bad. Maybe we will go for that. Yeah, let's just go for that. Do I want to do my heroic feat? Maybe. Let's do the baby one. So I'm going to spend 2 time to roll 2 black die and keep one of them. Going to take a black 4. And then let's roll. So we get our 3 yellow, 3 pink, 2 blue, and our standard black. So we need a pink 4 to cover up that box there, the shield one. I I'm going to take that black 4 to do that with, which frees up this pink 5 for that. I've got a yellow 5 that could go nicely there. What's that value up there? A 3. I don't have that 3. We could do this 5 over there. We could do this here. And we could do... This is fine. Look at this. 6 over there and 6 on there. Completely and utterly covered. Amazing. So we've gained this one with no consequences. So now I am skilled out. I have a maximum of 3 skills. I've got all of them. So I either take this as experience or an extra item. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe I should... I think I'm going to take it as an item now. Just because I'm really light on die that I'm rolling. And then next round. Come on, we want something really nasty so we can use this potion ability. It's not nasty, a cave in. So we can either dismantle it or climb over it. I think we're going to climb over it. We've got quite a few pink die now. Famous last words. So we actually roll our standard black anyway. We're not going to do our heroic feat. We're just going to go ahead and see what we get with this. Oh God, don't look. Wow, that was awful. 1, 1, 1 and a 2. At least the 2 can go over here. Oh my gosh, that could not have gone worse. There we go. So we've got a grand total of 3. We needed 11. So we have to suffer 2 damage and 2 time. These die don't like me today. So once again, I can either take the agility or I can take the experience. We're going to go for experience now. So it's a little unclear what happens. I've just checked the rules again. It's a little unclear what happens now because we've run out of cards while we're trying to explore. So I think you only add the damage when you are spending time, and we're not technically spending time. So I think we keep those 2 doors. And we can now choose to either descend or start our next turn. So I'm going to actually spend 2 time and then open one of these doors to see. That's exactly what I wanted to do. That's exactly what I wanted, I think. So now again, it's funny, in a playthrough I come up with all of these questions and I never have these questions in the in when I'm just playing for myself. So this guy here, I really want this guy because he's a 4 experience guy. He's very powerful. He's also got extra health that I could grab. He's got a special ability which says before the encounter you have to spend 3 time, which I don't really want to do because I'm going to gain damage for that. But my invisibility potion allows me to spend 2 time before an encounter to skip to the claim loot phase. So I'm still going to be spending time, but do I have to then spend 5 time or does one precede the other? So to keep the game moving, I'm just going to house rule it. So because they both say before the encounter, I'm going to decide what order I want to resolve them in. So I'm obviously going to do mine. So I'm going to spend this to spend 2 time before an encounter. So that technically gives 4 on there, and I believe, let me read that again, I get 1 damage for that. So every time there are 3 tokens here, place 1 on a hero and remove the other 2. Yeah. So I think it still has 1 on there. That's fine. But we're going to skip to the claim loot phase, therefore. So I'm just going to automatically grab this guy, and I can either take him as experience or what do I want to do? Let's, I think, take it for the extra health. And then we're going to descend. So we're going to go straight down here. Oh, it's looking nasty. We're really underpowered, I feel. We're very underpowered. So I'm not even sure whether we're even going to get to the to the boss. We'll see. Even if we don't get to the boss, I may still show you how it works, because the boss is like the most important or interesting part of the game. Okay, so let's start. In fact, we have to spend, even though we're on level 3, we still have to resolve all 3 of these abilities, and some of the later bosses have like abilities on every single level, and you have to activate all of them that are revealed. So I'm still spending 5 time here before we do anything. And then we're spending our 2 time to start our turn. And then let's have a look at what we have explored. Wow, that's just depleted so much of our deck. Okay. Oh no, that's mean. It says before the encounter, convert 1 item to XP. To be fair, we are so under-leveled right now, so that could be good. It is focusing on magic though, and we're not magic heavy. We are agility heavy. So you know what? We're going to ignore him and have a look somewhere else. We're going to go ahead and try and pick this lock. So we have to spend the time to do that. Oh, I'm scared. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pink die now. Ooh. And a standard black. I'm not going to use my heroic feat, I don't think. We're just going to need to just see what we roll and hope for the best. So we've got a 2 that we need to use over there. We've got a 3 that I can use for that. And a 5. Oh dear. Okay, that's not too bad, because then I have to use, we need 8, and unfortunately I can't use that 6 over there because I'll only have 6 and I need 8. So we need to spend this over here. Otherwise we're just going to be spending so much time. So we take 1 damage. We are looking poorly. We are looking poorly. Let's grab this as experience. Okay, so next round. Same as we just had. I think we're gonna go for it again. We're gonna pick the lock, I think. So let's spend the time. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shall I? I don't want to spend extra time. We're just gonna go for it. We're not even going to get there unless we stop taking damage. We're going to spend 2 time to do our heroic feat. So we're going to roll 2 black die. Oh, this is so bad. So I've got black 3. Okay, that's not too bad. So we need a 2 over there, a 5. Can we do this with the 6? And then we've got 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. Okay. We've done it. We didn't need that extra die, I don't think. But we've done it without suffering anything. Let's take this as experience. You are able to sort of chuck out an item or a skill you have. So if I wanted to keep that skill or item, I can replace it with another one because I'm at my maximum, and use that other one that we're discarding to count as experience. I'm really desperate to try and level up because I want to be at least level 3 to get that extra potion. I really wanted to be level 4 if I'm honest, but we are very behind on this one. I've just finished playing the Paladin, and I think I'm quite used to how she plays, not the Archer. The Archer seems quite challenging. Okay, let's see. Oh my gosh, that's not good. We've got so much combat on here as well. We're going to ignore him. Sorry. So now we have the options of either exploring more rooms to fill in these gaps, or we can return to one of these open doors. So I'm actually going to hope for the best and hope that something better is under here. Come on. If any armor boxes are empty, discard this instead of looting. Ooh, he will allow us to level up. We're gonna go for it, and we're gonna go hard. How much we got here? We're gonna go for it. Last ditch attempt, everyone. We're gonna spend 4 time to roll. This is just insane. we may manage to get to the boss, but we won't do much to it. So I'm going to roll 3 black die. Oh my god. A 6 and a 1. And then we're going to go for this encounter. So we've got 3 yellows. We've got 5 pinks. And 2 blue. And we have our standard black as well. Please. Something good. Oh. Okay. We do have some good stuff actually. Alright, so let's cover up these boxes first. So I've got a nice 6 that I can use over here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's that box done. We need to now focus on these shield boxes. We could do this 5 in here. We could do, I need a 3. I don't have a 3. I don't really need, I don't have a 3 or a 4. Well, what about, let's just pop these here and I'll think about whether that's a better way of doing that later. That could go there. That could go there. Ooh, that could go there. And actually, it's not doing too bad. That time, because this 4, if you can't see it, is in the shade. There's only going to allow me to spend 2, will make me spend 2 time. That's only going to add 2 health to this, which won't affect me. Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine then. Let's stick you there. We're going to ignore all of you. And then we're going to suffer those consequences. 2 time, 2 hearts go on there, but they don't matter. So I have blocked all of this. And I can take this. I'm going to take this as experience. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8 experience. I've leveled up to level 3, which allows me to gain a potion. Wowee. Okay. It says at the start of the turn, so I'm basically ending and starting my turn at the same time. We're going to descend, but I'll do this now. So let's heal for 3. And then we're going to descend. So we have made it to the boss. So that's something. I can actually show you how the boss works, whether or not we do anything to him. That was a tough battle, you know. It's a tough game sometimes. So when you are encountering the boss, this turn reference flips and it tells you how to fight them. So we are going to flip this over, and here is our beautiful dragon. Wow, he's looking pretty nasty actually. He's got 6 health. And he's got an ability which says black die cannot be used on skull boxes. Now you've got 2 types of boxes. You've got your standard ones that you'll see on your usual encounters. And you've also got skull boxes. So we've got 3 skull boxes here. Every time you cover a skull box, you prevent these consequences like usual, but you are also doing a damage to this dragon. So if there's 3 of them on here, so if I'm covering up all 3 of those, if I'm very lucky to roll 3 6s, he'll be taking 3 damage during his turn, and then I could defeat him in 2 rounds, basically. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to do very much, because look at how much damage we're going to be taking. Anyway, we're just going to see how far we can get. So let's start from the beginning. So there is actually a resist poison step, but that requires the Forest of Shadows expansion, and I do not own that one. So we're going to ignore that. We're going to go straight to number 2, which is roll dice. So let's just go ahead and see how far we can get. So I've got my standard die as usual. I've only got 2 blue, and I do still have that black die. Unfortunately, we're not able to use our heroic feat. I believe all the characters have abilities of heroic feats that you can't use in the boss battle, which is really sad. It could have been really useful to use them in the boss battle. Oh, I've got a few 6s. Oh, I have a few 6s. Thing is, if I don't block off some of those big boxes, I'm going to die. Okay, maybe it's a marathon and not a sprint. Oh, okay, breathe. Let's see. Let's see what we can do. First of all, these pink ones are absolute waste of time. So I've got 3 of them. I'm going to combine 2 pink ones into a black one, which I'm going to immediately spend as a combat die to gain a black 6. And I can only use that to cover a box with a shield. So I'm going to cover that pink 5 over there. I have a second pink 5 to use there, and I can therefore start ticking off other boxes that pink 6. So we do 1 damage to him. Ow, amazing. Right, what else can we do? We've got 12. We've got 18 here. Maybe actually I could do 17. Ignore that 6. Oh, hang on. No. There we go. 17. I've got 17, and I could use that as well. Ooh, look at this. So I'm still going to have to suffer lots of damage, but I don't see how I can do anything else. So that's going to block that 17. I can do another damage to him, and I can place this here. Actually, that means this is free. I could use that here to gain, I don't know whether these are going to be useful. Let's think about it. I can increase the value of a die by 1 if I want to as well. Do I want to? Do I want to? Probably not. No, I mean, that is just a waste of time, isn't it? But visually, I had to do it myself to think about whether it was a waste of time. Okay, I think that's all we can do. That's all we can do. That's not as bad as I thought. Still, it's not great. So we're actually suffering, we're now here. So we're going to suffer the consequences. So we have 4 damage that we cannot prevent, which is really, really bad. But we're still alive. So we've taken 6 damage, so I believe we've got 1 health. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we've got 1 health left. But he does take 3 damage because we're going to strike the box. 1 strike the boss, not the box. 1 damage per skull that we've covered. So he is taking 3 damage, which is amazing. He's halfway dead. So if we actually have a really good roll now, like a really good roll, we will be fine. But yeah, we're not going to. Okay, let's So I've actually forgotten this here. So I can use my kiting ability, so I can still prevent a health loss in each boss round. So I can technically heal one there. So we've got 2 health. All right, next round. So we've struck the boss, new round. So once again, we can resist poison, and we're going to go ahead and roll our dice. So we've got 3 yellow, 5 pink, and 2 blue, and a black. Come on, we need like 6s across the board, please. We don't have a single 6, so that's us done. It was fun while it lasted, everyone. Okay, let's just go as far as we can then. Let's spend... Again, these pinks are useless. I'm going to combine 2 pinks into a black one, which I can use as this combat die to gain a black 6 to cover a shield box. And I have a pink that I can use there as well. What now? Yeah, I don't really have anything at all. There's just, unfortunately, I don't think any way of me really manipulating this. So let's just spend that to gain a yellow for pink. I can increase the value of a die, so let's go for a 6, so at least I do a damage. Then let's see what else we can block off as much as possible. So I've got, can I even get one of the boxes? I've got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we could block that bottom one. And that's it. I could combine these to do a black 2. And I've got a grand total of 3 to contribute towards my 16 there. So unfortunately, at this point, we would be suffering the consequences, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. I think technically you don't die straight away. You can then use potions to like heal yourself if you had loads, but I don't. So I'd just strike the boss. He would have 4 out of 6 health done, and then you would go to your new round. And I am no longer here. So that wasn't too bad. To be fair, we got further than I thought we would there. We are hugely underpowered here. Usually it's really ideal to try and get to level 4, because then at least you're rolling 2 black encounter die or wild die each time. You'll still gain an extra potion as well. You can gain up to 7 items, but it really is quite a battle to get there. I've only actually got to level 4 a handful of times. I think I'm usually more item heavy. And it was a mistake, I think, to go for that invisibility potion, because this renders this essentially useless during the battle at the end. As soon as you're out of potions, and you tend to use your potions quite heavily for healing, as soon as you're out of them, that is a slot that's basically useless. Whew. Anyway, that is One Deck Dungeon. An unsuccessful attempt at the very first game in the campaign. I'll be back in a minute and I'll let you know my final thoughts on the game. So One Deck Dungeon is a game that I feel has a very strange difficulty curve. It's one that you definitely feel that crunch and difficulty at the very beginning of the campaign when you are under-leveled like I am, but also when you're unfamiliar with the character and how they work and their like specific skill sets. So I've actually just finished a campaign using the other character of Paladin. So in my head I was still expecting them to be able to use their ability, which actually prevents them from suffering too much damage. They're quite like a bit of a beefy character. And so I actually felt it during this playthrough, that unfamiliarity with the character. It can feel like a very punishing game, but Actually, I don't really mind it too much. I actually find it quite fun to still really try and maximize all of your skills to the best of your ability. I really like trying to squeeze every square inch of the best die you can get out of everything that you've got, and seeing how that unravels. It's not necessarily the end of the world if you sort of basically suffer they really have to suffer the consequences of an encounter. You just have to move on and try and heal yourself up as quick as possible, but you're still gaining that loot, which I really like. So as I did say at the very beginning of this playthrough, I do think that if you are picking up this game, you should just really crack on with the campaign as soon as you can. I wouldn't recommend just trying to play like a standalone game without that, especially as it allows you to sort of increase your experience if you're playing on the standard or easy difficulties from the off. And if you're ignoring that campaign section, you're even worse off than that. You're playing on like a very hard difficulty. And so just go for the campaign. There's a much less upkeep than you might think. There's not really too much to look at until you've actually finished the game, and then you can just do it step by step. So I think that is probably the best way to play. I really enjoy this game for the dice manipulation aspect. I think that the fact that you're trying to juggle your color die, as well as the values, as well as your potions and the skills that you gain, I think it's a very clever balance, and every single turn you are very carefully trying to think about what would be most beneficial for you at that moment in time, and really carefully managing your deficiencies and where you're strongest, because each of these characters has a very slight variation in their abilities. So I believe Paladin was a lot more combat heavy, but the Archer is much more agile, and yet the Paladin was like, I would avoid everything to do with like agile, like combat abilities. So it's a very interesting game where you are trying to beef yourself up in the skills that you are most efficient in, but also you're like, well, if I could just focus down one pathway and really beef up my agility, for example, I could really just look to carve out that pathway. But also on top of that, you really need to be mindful of the boss. And I'm actually quite guilty of this in the game, of not actually looking at the boss card when you start. It could be really useful to sort of see what the special abilities are, what boxes you're going to need to cover up, because this one is very combat heavy on the when you're like descending through the dungeon, and then when you turn it over, actually it's very evenly spread. You're still going to need you're going to need your boxes, your pink die to cover those shields. You're going to need those combat die to cover this massive box as well. So I think it's quite important for you to actually look at what you're going up against at the end of the game, to really get an understanding of what you should be building up during the game. And it's very easy for me to say that because I just want to dive in and get going, but it could very much help you. On top of the dice manipulation as well, I absolutely love that aspect of it. But I also really like the variety of skills that you can get. I think they're very interesting, and there's quite a large variety to choose from and see in the game. So they do feel quite different. Sometimes you need like a certain value to meet. Sometimes you need to just spend a die of a particular color. It doesn't matter the value. Other times you've got your potions that you're collecting. So I think there's quite a nice variety to see, and each game does play out quite differently according to what creatures you find and your decisions you make in terms of are you going to like try and beef yourself up in the skill set as much as possible, or are you actually going quite item heavy, or are you sort of balancing them all? And so I do feel like this is quite a replayable game. I've played it, I would say, probably 10 to 15 times now throughout my time of having it. Probably more than that. I was guilty to play the game without the campaign to start with until I realised that that was not the right thing to do. And, you know, I haven't got tired of this game yet. I think that this is a very fun and replayable game. I think it plays quite differently each time. You also learn quite a lot from your playthroughs, and what I said, like you really need to look at what you're combating. You need to learn when to flee, which I'm no good at either. I don't like fleeing. I think it's a waste of time, but you're still spending probably more time by actually tackling something that you're underpowered for. So I think it's quite an interesting game to get into, because you really do sort of learn how to get good at it. And I haven't got there yet, or I'm very much out of practice. What I also really like in this game is the sort of feeling of progression as you go through the campaign. So I was playing on the very first one, the Dragon's Cave today, but it goes up in difficulty and they have like star ratings. So Dragon was 1, I believe is it the Minotaur? The Minotaur is like the last one that you're meant to sort of go to, and he's like a 3-star difficulty rating. And on your little campaign sheet again, when you are tackling like a hard one, like the 3-star ones, you can tick off more skills on here. So I'll pop the picture up so you can see it a little bit easier, but upon your skills on the left hand side, you've got your like red ones, which you're only able to tick off when you have tackled a hard boss. And so I really love that. It really forces you to not only sort of stay within your like comfort zone, if you really want that skill, that bottom skill. So this one at the bottom for the healing, Grit, after each boss round you can heal 1 damage, which is amazing. So it could encourage you actually to sort of go towards a hard one and really push to try and get that one as soon as possible. And then the rest of your campaign is going to be reasonably easy because you've already got that ability. I really like that progression. I think it's very interesting. I think it makes this game, which is tiny, very replayable, and just a joy to be around and experience. I love all the decisions, and I love the combining of die and the feeling that you get when you do manage to pull off like a really cool thing where you're like pushing up all of the covering up all the boxes. It's very rewarding. It's a really good rewarding experience when you do manage to do something that does feel very impossible at the beginning. The components of this game as well are very nice. The sleeves don't come with it. I did sleeve these because I was shuffling quite a lot. And I did play this one quite a few times when I first received it. The dice are really lovely, really colourful. I really like all the colours and the like translucency of them. They look really nice. I really like the hearts as well. They look really cool. I believe some of the other versions, I'm not sure if it was the Kickstarter version or whether there's different printings, they have cubes, I believe, but I much prefer the hearts that I have. They're very cool. And the cardstock's really nice as well, and the art is equally very well done. So it's a very nice production. I do sort of wish there was another way to gain potions in the game. I do feel that potions are very underpowered, so I think that is why I've decided before that potions weren't really worth my time, because you could definitely see in that one, I spent a potion to gain like the loot of a monster without having to like tackle it in any way. But ultimately, then I'm out of potions, so I'm number one using that potion for another reason other than healing, so that's not great. But also, I'm now blocking up a space for a skill that I've gained that skill when I could have used that for experience, and now I haven't got an extra skill, and I was very skill light. And so I do sort of wish there was a way to gain extra potions in the game other than leveling up and gaining those particular skill cards. I feel like maybe they could be loot on particular monsters because I feel like it's very, very difficult to manage your health in this game, especially if you don't have ability to get those potions. And once you start going down that downward spiral of you don't really quite have enough experience to level up, but you really need that extra die to roll to try and get stronger for your next encounter because you're about to die, and it just sort of can elongate the game a little bit. So maybe, I'm not actually sure, maybe there's a way of changing that. I don't know if the easy mode gives you an extra potion, but in the campaign booklet you do have a healing ability which you can get very easily. It's the very top one that you can get, and that allows you to start each game with an extra potion. So I mean, I haven't even probably experienced half of these yet, but that one was just brilliant and it was so useful. It allows you to just really sort of get going from the off and try and level yourself up as quick as possible. Yes, I have just checked, and if you play on the novice difficulty for the campaign, which maybe I would anticipate that a lot of players would prefer to play like that because it can feel so challenging and quite demoralizing. But this one allows you, when you play on easy, to advance your experience level to level 2, and then gain that second potion, because every time you level up, you gain an extra potion. So that may be where most people's difficulty level falls, and maybe I should have played on that one today. We're going to wrap that one there with One Deck Dungeon. I think this is a fantastic solo game. I believe I may have tried this one 2-player at some point with my husband. It made no impression on me whatsoever. It's very much, in fact, I don't even remember how it plays. I think you share your die pool in some regard, and it's a little bit fiddly. It doesn't really work that well. This one, I think, is best played solo. It's a really, really easy game to get out. You can roll your die in your box lid. It's very portable. And it's very enjoyable. It takes like a good 45 minutes to an hour, so it's a very substantial game when there's a few bits to set up and a few dice to fiddle around with, but you're going to get a really good experience when you play through, and you've also got the whole campaign to get through as well. I believe there's also One Deck Galaxy, which people have been enjoying as well. Unfortunately, I haven't played that one, but I understand that it plays very similarly. It's just got a few different like tweaks to it. I don't know if it's like improvements at all. But I'd be very interested in trying that one out. But from a perspective of, I like dungeon crawling and monsters and things like that, this one is probably more my sort of theme. The only other thing to mention as well is the actual characters of this game. They're all female, they're all quite diverse and inclusive, and also they are, as you don't really expect in a lot of fantasy games, they are quite fully clothed, which is just nice to see. It's a bit of a refreshing sort of take to it. A lot of fantasy women in like mage armor or other armors are very scantily clad, but these ones are not. They are very professional looking women, and you can really imagine that these people are going dungeon crawling in their outfits, which is nice. I believe that was a very conscious decision made by the developers of the game and the artists. So I'm sure that a lot of people would appreciate that when they go through the game. Thank you very much for joining me today on One Deck Dungeon. Sorry, it was not a very successful attempt. As I always say, do not take these playthroughs as like a strategic guide. I am no way sort of professional at playing any of these games. It's just something that I really enjoyed doing. But I hope you did enjoy the playthrough. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel, and you will be let know of any further releases that I do. Otherwise, have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.